Hello. There he
What's
is.
up, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen of the jury?
The
Probably finding me
jury's
guilty
out.
this week after last week.
I'm finding you guilty, bro. I sat down last Thanksgiving or the night before. I said, "All right, Florida State, or the Friday." I said, "Let me watch." So I turned it on. I looked on my phone, and Florida was winning. But then I put the game on, and Florida State was winning by 7, and Florida had the ball inside the 5-yard line for like 10 fucking minutes. And I don't mean 10 minutes in real time. I mean 10 minutes in game time. How do you get the ball and keep the ball for 10 fucking minutes, Ted? How does it
These
fucking back it up. We'll go forward. Penalty against Florida State. Penalty. I was like, what the fuck? And then fucking Florida State doesn't even cover. I wish they would have lost the fucking. If you're not going to cover, lose the fucking game.
Yeah, what blows my mind about college football, I've been talking how much I love college football every year, but what blows my mind is you get these teams and they're so mismatched, but yet, like when these rivalry games happen, doesn't matter how much worse or better one team is than the other, they're just always close. It just makes no I mean, it makes sense. I get it, but I don't. If that makes sense. Like I get it, but it's just like why? Because Florida State should crush. They should absolutely crush Florida, and then they get on the stage and something about these teams get fired up to play their rival, and that's what happens.
Must have been all the child porn they were watching in the locker
I heard
room at
about that
halftime.
Kitna, man. That's disgusting. That
Yeah,
that's
that is.
and that runs deeper. I could do a whole show about that, but it runs deeper in our society. You saw the Balenciaga thing, and uh, it's a very bad thing. It's that's another show for another day. But
That shit wouldn't fly if Aaron Hernandez was still around. He wouldn't put up with that. He would have taken Kitna right out and fucking taken him out in the parking lot.
So yeah, I mean, could have been 3-2 last week. Oregon gave up 21 in the fourth quarter to Oregon State. Oregon was beating and covering the spread the whole game. Um, thought I was going to be 3-2 for the week because it was the last game of the week, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, we had a winning week with these predictions, and then boom, Oregon State comes back and not only covers the spread but wins the game outright. Real gut wrencher. Real gut wrencher for me and my record last week. But I got a couple things I want to talk to the crowd about. Anybody interested in getting into sports betting that it doesn't really do it. The first thing I want to talk about is parlays because I run the Instagram, I run YouTube, just getting on Twitter, and we get a lot of guys coming in every day. A couple hundred, 200 guys coming in, signing up for advice and picks, free, paid. And so many of the new betters that I speak to bet parlays. The seasoned guys know. The guys have been betting. A guy calls me up, hey man, I've been betting for 10 years, always breaking even. Sometimes I do good, sometimes I do bad, but I want some help. They already know that parlays aren't the way to go. But these new guys coming in, they're all betting parlays. You got DraftKings, FanDuel, advertising parlays. And when you look at it, it's like obviously whatever the sports book is advertising, that should probably be what you stay away from because they make their money from you losing. But I'm going to break it down into terms that hopefully people understand. So let's say you have no insight on a game, no information, you don't look at it, you just look at a game, you have two teams, it's a 50-50 chance. You would agree, right, AJ? 50
Eeny,
50
meeny,
50.
miny, mo. That's it.
Right. So, based on that, if you put up 100, you win 100. Now, of course, there's the 10% VIG that the casino makes. So, if you put up 110, you win 100. That's a 50-50. That's double your money if you win, minus the VIG. A parlay, let's take a two-team parlay, that's 2.5 to 1. So, if you lay 100 or 110, you get back 250. And here's why I don't play parlays. And here's why I preach against parlays. If you have two teams, this is the simplest way to put it, two teams that are 50%, then the percentage of 2 games winning should be 25%. So for anyone that's good with math, the payout should be 4-1, but instead it's 2.5-1. This is just a 2-team parlay, but
Mhm.
it extends to any type of parlay. So if sportsbooks started paying out 4-1 on 2-team parlays, my whole advice would change. I would say play parlays every day. It's not about that parlays are harder to hit. It's that the payout doesn't match the difficulty level of how hard they are to hit. So that's kind of another, because everyone just say, oh, parlays are sucker bets, parlays are hard, but they don't really explain why. So I just wanted to put that out there. Same thing with a 3-team parlay. A 3-team parlay should be 12.5%, which means that it should be paying like 8-1, 9-1. Instead, it's paying 6-1. So that's why parlays are a losing proposition all of the time. Completely. I mean, that's just very simply put, that's why it is. So stay away from them. Um, Play single games. It's the way to go. Even if you don't have a lot of money to bet with, parlays are just like the same thing as going to the gas station and buying a scratch off ticket. Same type of thing. So that's my message for the day on parlays.
That's
Stay
why
away from them. And there's a
Vegas
mathematical.
casinos are like palaces, and parlay players live in trailers.
They do, it's like, not trying to but who plays, who generally plays the lotto? Poor people. That's just the way it is, and parlays are the same thing. So stay away from parlays. Topic number 2, hockey. I'm not going to get into any games or any in-depth analysis or anything like that, but just a little hockey tidbit. And this goes to a shout out to my guy, Billy the Beard, one of my top consultants here at the Sports Profits. Hockey, and I gave this team out tonight, and they actually switched their goalie. So I'm not too keen on the game. I'm not in love with it anymore. But the Seattle Kraken. This is a hockey team that's sitting with a record of 14-5, and you can constantly, I mean, they've won multiple games as underdogs. Hockey is a game of value. Hockey's a game where the good teams are going to be minus 200, minus 250, and you gotta find the value. You can't just sit there and play minus 250s all day. So hockey, very simply put, is a game of value, and the Kraken is a team that I want everyone to follow, pay close attention to, and bet while the getting's good, while the odds are good, while the lines are still low. They're like minus 130 tonight. Like I said, their really good goalie is, I think, not playing, and if he's not playing, don't go with them. But they have a very good goalie who, when he is in the net, go with the Kraken. And just a little tidbit for anyone out there watching: follow the Kraken, and I think you'll make some good money with them.
Seriously, that's the Kraken. That's their name, or
The
are you
Seattle
just calling them
Kraken,
that? Where the fuck did they come from?
Seattle. They're
What
a
an
they're a new
expansion? What
they're a
year?
newer team. Yeah, they're a newer team.
I've
I
been
don't
out of
know
the
the year.
hockey loop for about 20 years, but the
Yeah,
Kraken, that sounds like a fucking high school junior varsity fucking team.
Seattle Kraken, Vegas Knights. They might have came in together. I'm not positive. I think they're
Kraken.
only like 3 or 4 years old,
All
but
right.
they're getting the job done, and they're winning games, and they're making people money. We've been on them a lot this year, and they're good. They're getting they're the third highest scoring hockey team in the NHL right now.
So I'm keeping score. Is that Kraken with a K or a C?
Kraken, Kraken,
Here.
Kraken with a K,
All
like
right.
like
So all right.
like
So
the
I learned
ride,
two things.
like the ride at SeaWorld, like the
All right.
roller coaster at SeaWorld.
No parlays, and there's a fucking team called the Kraken. All right.
Yeah, follow the Kraken.
All right.
And last but not least,
I'm
I
a
mean,
winner already.
you got the royal family at the Boston Celtics game, some prince and princess, and there's some reactions from the players, and I was loving it. They were asking all these NBA players, like, how does it feel to have, you guys get celebrities at the game, but how does it feel to have royalty at the game, and all these players were basically, for lack of better words, like, who gives a shit? And their answers were just that. Like, one player said the royal family said Jesus, Mary, and Joseph were at the game tonight, and the reporter, and these reporters, they're all bubbly and they're asking the question all bubbly, and then the players answer, and the reporters, you could just see they're just shut down, they're demoralized with their questioning. And
Who is this? Is it
me.
Meghan Markle?
What's that?
Is it Meghan
No, I'm
Markle?
having some sound issues, I don't know why. No, the other one, Kate and William, the
Hmm.
ones that are actually part of the royal family still, because I guess Meghan Markle isn't. They left the family or whatever the case is. I don't know how that all works, but no, the other ones that actually came from Great Britain, and they're doing like a little Boston thing. But I just love it. Me, I go against the media every week. That's like one of my things. So I didn't really have much else to look at, but that was one thing I saw. And like all the media reporters were asking the players like, how's it feel? And they were all their answers were very similar. Like, we don't give a shit. We're NBA players. What do we care about the monarchy?
Exactly.
Um, we got some games here though. I mean, we got conference championship week, right? So this is the week in college football. Rivalry week was last week. This is the week in college football where all the conference championships occur. SEC, ACC. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Um, and college football hasn't been great lately. I can't wait to transition to some college hoops now and some hockey now that college football is ending, because end of the year it gets tough, and that goes back. I think I said this in another show. The first half of any season is going to be really where you want to focus, where you want to put your money in, because as any season goes on, it gets more difficult to win. Baseball, big time. The odds go up. I've said this before. You're following good teams and good pitchers in baseball before the All Star break. The line's going to be minus 140, minus 150. And then, boom, after the All Star break, that same team, same situation, you're looking at minus 190, minus 180, minus 200. So now we're in the first half of hockey and college hoops. So that's where the winning is coming in for us anyway at the Sports Profits. So we'll be transitioning to that a little bit next week. I'm going to Colorado for the week, but I will be back in time for the Thursday show. So, um, but that's really, and it's so true. NFL, there's not one sport that we bet on here at the Sports Profits that the second half of the year is better than the first half of the year. It's clockwork every single year. So something, and then with college basketball right now, a little tip and trick for the audience watching. I'm not giving any games yet, but watch line movement. You see, these odds makers, they don't, the lines open just wrong. And when you see that jump in the line, like, if you know nothing about college basketball, just play the jumps in the lines and you'll have success. So if you see a -3 go to -5.5, chances are, it's going to be a better game than average. If you see a +12 come down to +9, it's going to be a good move. So watch the line movement early in college hoops. As the season progresses, that doesn't apply as much. You have to use more analytics, you have to look at more stuff. But early in the season, I would say for the rest of December and maybe the first half of January, watch the line movement, track the line movement, and go with that, and you'll go above 50%.
I guess it pays to be astute and really know your college basketball then, because if you see a line open up out of whack and you realize that it's out of whack when it opens up, it kind of makes sense to jump on it then, doesn't it? If
It
Florida's
does.
Florida's
It
given three or Florida's
Well, so
getting
that's
three,
the
but you
difference.
know that they should be getting seven. It's like shit.
That's the
Well,
difference between the the second half of the year and the first half. Like, the first half of the year, these odds makers just can't keep up. So give you an example. If a line goes from 2 to 4, the team probably is going to win by 6 or 7. Later in the year, if the line goes from 2 to 4, the team's probably going to win by 3.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying there? That
I
that's
do.
really that's really the difference, is that you don't even have to be astute. That's what I'm saying. Like the first half of the year, just go with it, even if you don't get the early jump on it. Second half of the year, you got to start getting that early jump.
I
But
don't want to be too technical for your viewers, and you probably go over this later, but if you are astute and you see those lines out of whack, can't you middle the game? Because you know that, oh shit, this line's only 3 and it should be 6. So you take it at 3 and then you go back and you get it at 6. So you go one way and then you go the other way.
you can. A great example was the Virginia game last 2 nights ago. The Virginia game 2 nights ago. It opened at like 2 or 2.5. It moved to, I think it moved to like 3 or 4, and I was like, that's an interesting game. I like it. I like the money line. The lines, and then it moved to 5, and I said, okay, that's too much. And that's a game that we came in and Virginia money line, and then I think they were playing. I don't remember who they were playing, but whoever they were playing plus 5.5, and both Virginia won by 2. So that was the type of game where you could make money 2 ways. Got to be careful doing that, but yeah, you could definitely do it. And like you said, you don't want to get too complicated with it. That's the problem. Also, people that are new to betting, they try to get too fancy too quick. Um, like I
You're
have I I have a client who bets, and I don't do this type of betting, but he bets like one game 6 times live. So like the line will just keep going and he'll just keep betting it. And all they have to do, the line will go from 10 to 12 to 14 to 16. So he'll bet it at 10, he'll bet it at 12, he'll bet it at 14, he'll bet it at 16. And then they win by 20 and he wins all the bets. I mean,
Mhm.
he's definitely sharp. But the thing is, you got to really be in the zone. You got to have that game on. So it's not something you can really do with a bunch of different games. You got to be watching the game. You got to have the game on. It's definitely a different type of betting. It's kind of like a day trading type of thing where it's just constant. And then I've seen people completely go bust doing that same thing. So I've had players where had this guy from Indiana. This guy was great. This guy was betting like 5, 10,000 on my games, and then he was betting like 30,000 on his own games because he just thought he was the shit. And he's a great guy. I love him to this day. I still talk to him, but he would make like 10 grand a week, 15 grand a week with me because I'm a conservative guy. I don't like to push guys out of. I don't get crazy with my players. But then on his own, he was making like 70, 80 grand a week. And everything was good. And we were consistently winning, but small amounts. And then this was last season. I get a phone call from him one day, busted out, lost like 500, 600,000 in one week. So
Yeesh.
that's the give and the take. It's when you're playing that style, it's great because you could pick up a lot of money really fast, but then you can also unravel really fast, which is where like middling, playing games live, that's where all that stuff kind of gets a little messy and a little sticky.
Well, you
So
got to admit that you're impressed that I knew what middling was, huh? I threw that out there.
yeah, I think you know a little bit more than you like to lead on about the betting world.
Last year with NBA, I keep telling you that I have this gift with NBA, and I've been so busy I haven't paid attention yet. But last year, live betting, first time I ever did live betting, and Golden State last year. I follow trends and patterns. Golden State, almost every game you open, they're at 11 points. They're given 10 points. They're given 15 points, but they never fucking played until the third quarter. So that's why I would bet them at minus 11, but then they would be down by 20 points in the second quarter, and I'd be Golden. So I got Golden State minus 11. I got Golden State plus 11, and I got everything in between. I think where people fuck up with this is they do. Let's say they're $100 better, $100 bet, $100 bet, 100, and they're winning. stay with the $100 bets, but they don't because now they got a little money. So they take their $100 bets, they got them the money, and they turn them into $200 bets and $300 bets on this crazy shit. And they should just stick with what got them, in my opinion.
No, you're right, and that's one of the biggest Vegas traps. And the term Vegas is going to go obsolete soon because betting's legal everywhere. But we still use the term Vegas because it's still young as far as legalization. So it's one of the biggest Vegas traps is that people, when they're winning, they increase their bet, and when they're losing, they lower their bet. And you have to play corrections. You have to play law of average. And when you play law of average and corrections, you realize that betting that same amount every game, sticking consistent to a number, is really Vegas doesn't win that way. Vegas wins on psychology and emotion, which is, oh, I'm losing, I need to lower my bet. Oh, I'm winning, I need to increase my bet. That's Vegas psychology 101. So don't do that, guys. Stick to the same number. Pick a number and stick with it.
I went out there one, and I'll shut up after this, but I went out to Vegas 10, 15 years ago by myself. And within an hour of getting there, I was up about 30K. Video poker. I went upstairs, put the cash in the safe. I called my wife. Like, what do I do? Should I come home? And my wife says, no, go lay by the pool, go to the spa, just hang out, fucking relax. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, it's like 30K. It's a lot of money. And I'm thinking, I'm supposed to be here for 4 more days. If I got 30K in an hour, I could walk out of here with like $5 million. I went home losing 20,000 of my own money. So I gave the whole 30K back plus 20 grand of my own.
I've seen it happen.
That's the Vegas mentality.
It's the Vegas mentality, the Vegas psychology. If everybody, Vegas wouldn't be what it was if everyone stayed tight and did things the right way. Table games are tougher though. Table games, it's hard not to push and lower in table games. I get bored. Like I play blackjack sometimes, and you gotta push it. You gotta push it. I know it's not the right way, but I'm not a professional blackjack player, so.
I think the right way is to go to a show or go to a spa and just enjoy yourself. But
that's the right way. Go to the pool.
Exactly.
So let's break down some college football. I'm going to do another 4-pack. I'm going to keep it light, AJ. I'm not going to bore everyone with a bunch of numbers. I'm just going to be looking at games that teams that I've tracked this year and I've had some success with and things of that nature. The first game I'm going to talk about is Kansas State versus TCU. I think one of my first games on the show was Kansas State. I've been following them all year. I'm very impressed with their run game. TCU has a great run game as well, but Kansas State is slightly better, but not by much. TCU obviously has a much better passing game than Kansas State. Sometimes these conference championships are a little bit like rivalry games also because sometimes the same teams meet every year. But this is a game where TCU opened up at 1.5 favorite. Now they're a 2.5 point favorite. But the juice is on. See, one thing I look at, giving another tip of the trade. I'm tired today.
Insider secrets, like Lenny Dykstra says, you're either inside or you're outside.
Yeah, like Lenny said.
You're inside. So.
I miss Lenny. I'm ready to get back on with Lenny anytime soon. Plus 2.5. So Kansas State goes from plus 1.5 to plus 2.5. But you look at the juice on the 2.5, and you look at the juice on the 2.5 for TCU, and the juice is favoring Kansas State plus 2.5. So this is where I come in and I say, okay, let's go ahead. TCU has an insanely sick offense. It's really good. But the only thing that can really temper, besides a good defense, the only thing that can really temper a TCU offense is a great run game, and that's what Kansas has. So if Kansas State can really run that ball, they can keep TCU at bay. This is a big game for TCU because they obviously they want to stay, but a lot of people are saying that even if TCU loses close, they'll still make the top because they're in the top 4 right now. People are saying that even if TCU loses close, they'll still stay in that top 4, still go to the playoffs. So not that this is a meaningless game for TCU, but it's not necessarily a must win, right? Because they're still undefeated as of right now, so they could afford a loss and still make it into the playoffs. They have a solid defense, not amazing, but solid. So I think this Kansas State run game can really keep TCU at bay. I see that line at 2.5, and my mouth waters and says, let's move it to 3. And let's bet that if Kansas State loses, it's going to be by a very small number. Um, at the worst, it's a push, and I'm taking Kansas State plus 3.
Got it.
Next game is going to be Troy Trojans versus Coastal Carolina. Looking at this game, it's just the type of thing where this line opened at 4.5, by the way, and it moved to 8.5. So this is a type of thing where, the show's today, so I got to make a bet, and it's too late to say, okay, let's get it early at 4.5. If you did get minus 4.5 for Troy, fantastic. But looking at this, Coastal Carolina, they have a good record, but if you look at covering the spread, they're not doing a good job at it. They're 1-4 against the spread versus Troy in their last 5. They're 2-5 overall against the spread in their last 7 games, and now they're facing a Troy team that's 8-2 against the spread in their last 10. So this line is a perfect example of how the odds makers have been disrespecting Troy all year, and that's why they're covering spread. It's not that they're so amazing; they are solid. But that's the same thing with. I go back to the Kraken, even though hockey's not a spread, the odds makers just haven't been showing the Kraken respect. So that's why you still get that good value, low line, sometimes plus odds. So it's another sign that they really didn't respect Troy here with this 4.5 open, moving to 8.5, because sharp money is coming in on Troy. Gets a little expensive. And a lot of guys out there will say, "Oh, this is a bad move. Don't do it this way." But listen, Troy knows how to play in December. They're 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 in December. A lot of teams fold at the end of the year. Troy doesn't. So I'm saying, buy a 1.5. You're gonna get Troy -7. You're probably gonna pay -135 on that, because the 8.5 is negative, is only like -105. So normally for every half a point, you're putting up about 10. So you're going from -105 to -135. I'm taking Troy -7, -135.
Got it.
My next team, my next game, I don't look at this one. A lot of people disagree with this one, but not disagree, but it's a big spread for a conference championship game for a solid LSU team that's beaten some decent opponents. Looking at Georgia, I think Georgia, I mean, they're the number 1 team in the country, so people are going to be like, "Teddy, how does this make sense?" They're the number 1 team in the country, and I still don't think they're getting the respect they deserve. To me, this Georgia team is one of the all-time greats. I mean, they just crush opponents week after week after week. I think they repeat. I don't think anyone can stop them. I've said it earlier in the year, and I'm saying it again. I don't think anyone can stop them in college football. And I think they come out, and this is going to be their last game for probably about a month. I think this team comes out. They know they have a lot of rest after this. They don't really have to win this game, but I don't think I think they come in and just absolutely dominate. And I like Georgia -17, 17.5, by the half a point. If you really want to do it the right way, by the full point. I just think Georgia crushes here. I think they step it up. They gotta go into this big gap of time with some fire, and they don't want to go into the playoffs having just barely beat the last team they played. So I think they go into this with fire, and I like Georgia. And last but not least, It's my hometown team, UCF, getting disrespected here. The underdogs. You know,
Are they
I
are they
anytime
playing
I
in the
see
bounce? Are they playing in the bounce house?
this game is at Yulman Stadium at Benson Field. They are not. This is in Tulsa. They're away. Um, Tulsa's favored by 4, which I love. The line actually moved in favor of Tulsa. So if you look at line movement, it would tell you bet Tulsa, right? Um, UCF, they barely beat USF last week. They're a much better team, but they barely beat them. And that goes back to what I was saying about these big rivalries where these teams just get up to play. USF just got up to play UCF, just like Florida got up to play FSU, right? But at the end of the day, I think UCF looks at that game. I think this is a complete bounce back game for them right here. They're going to feel disrespected. What I've noticed a lot of times with UCF this year is when they're big favorites, they don't necessarily show up, but they're a great team. John Reese Plumlee is a great quarterback. He can run the ball, he can throw the ball. He gets the job done. He's a big boy. He needs to stay healthy. He's had some issues. He had concussion protocol a few weeks ago, but I think if he plays up to par and stays healthy, I think that UCF can beat this team outright. The money line on this game, you can get UCF plus 155, 160 here. I'm sprinkling a little bit on the money line. And this might be a homer pick, but I really like UCF in this game. UCF doesn't have the best history against Tulsa, but that's okay. They're 2-5 against Tulsa in their last. I'm sorry, I keep saying Tulsa. Tulane. They're 2-5 against Tulane in the last 7, but they're 5-0 straight up against them. So in the past, this 2-5 against the spread record against Tulane, that's because they're these big favorites. Now they're dogs. I think they come in and beat them. They're 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 against Tulane. So I apologize for saying Tulsa half the time. I always mix up Tulane and Tulsa. It's a little late and a little tired.
You had me
But
excited. I'm going to be in Tulsa on Saturday,
there
so
you go.
I'll go to this game and
You're going
bounce
to
the
be in
house.
Tulsa. I'm going to be in Colorado. We're only going to be a few states away. I'm going to be in Colorado. So, but
We're only a few blocks away right now, and we never see each other in
exactly, we're going to
person.
be
So
technically further, but closer. Further, but closer. Same but different. Interview, great movie with James Franco and Seth Rogen. Very funny, underrated movie where they go to interview Kim Jong Un in South
oh
Korea.
yeah, I remember
That's a
that. Yeah.
funny. That's a funny underrated movie. Just like UCF's being underrated in this game here, but yeah, I mean UCF, they're a great team. They're 23rd in points scored. They're 6th in rushing yards in the country. Um, Tulane, very good as well. They're ranked 18th in the country. They're a good team, but I just think UCF gets up for this game. Um, Plumlee gets the job done. He's a running quarterback, but he can throw the ball also. But Tulane defense has trouble against the run. If you look at their weak point, it is their run defense. And that's where I think that UCF comes in here and takes over. And I think UCF wins this game outright.
All right, so we got UCF on the money line.
Yeah, I mean, I always do the same thing. I always say play him +4 to be safe, play him on the money line with a little sprinkle.
You got Georgia just steamrolling LSU. Buy it down 17.5. Buy it down to 16.5. You got Troy over Coastal Carolina. Buy that one to 7. Then you got Kansas State +3 over TCU.
Now, everybody watching this, I'm going to do something a little bit different with these because, you got to monitor line movement as the week goes on. It's Thursday right now. These games are Saturday. So I'm probably going to put up like a little post on Twitter and Instagram, just kind of like all systems go, or hey, I'm laying off this one a little bit because the line got moved a little bit funny. So I'm adding a little something to this where what check us out on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll kind of give an update. Hey, the line's still looking good. Hey, the line moved a little funny here. Maybe lay off a little bit. So little something I'm going to add to these early week plays that we give out where the game, because like with my players, my private players, I give them the game 2 hours before. I love to monitor line movement. I like to see where it's going to go. Some guys are in the habit of, hey, we like to play early. I'm a late steam. They call it in the industry, they call it late steam. I'm a late steam kind of guy.
So what's the Twitter handle? Is it the Sports Profits?
The Twitter handle is Profit Sports.
Profit Sports. All right.
This is the name backwards.
Okay. Profits with an S.
Profits Sports. Literally,
Okay.
this the name of the company just backwards. Profit
Okay.
Sports. No the.
Okay.
Let's hear your NFL, AJ.
I got two absolute stone cold locks.
By the way, before you get into it, that Dallas that touchdown that the Giants scored at the end of that game, that was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, that fucked my whole weekend up.
Yeah, it was unnecessary.
But I can't win them all. I just won most of them. So
there you go.
Here's what I got. I'm going to give you a real brief descriptions. Cincinnati and Kansas City. Cincinnati wants some revenge from last year. Cincinnati is going to win the game outright. Cincinnati's probably going to win this game by about 14 points. Kansas, a couple of reasons. Kansas City's just due to lose a game.
And Cincinnati's due to win. Yeah.
So I'm liking Cincinnati there. And the other game.
What's the line?
It's I want to say it was 4.5, but let me look. Hang on. I just shut the computer down. It is I'm looking right here on my bet ticket. Kansas City. I parlayed 30 games.
There you go.
2.5. Cincinnati's getting 2.5.
Yeah. Buy it to 3.
I like Cincinnati. And the other game, and you're going to argue with me on this.
Now, hold on. Before you get into the other game, if you took Cincinnati plus 2.5, you committed what I consider a cardinal sin in NFL betting, not buying the half a point.
But I think Cincinnati's going to win the game, so I'm also taking the money line.
Then play the money line. Go ahead. Go with your second game.
The Dolphins are extremely overrated. All of you South Florida people are getting all hyped up over this team they're going up against the big boys now this week because, we beat the Patriots. The fucking Patriots haven't been good in years. All right. Did you beat Buffalo? No, that was the butt fumble game, wasn't it? Did they beat Buffalo? But Buffalo turned out to be all hype and no actual fucking muscle behind it when it really comes down to it this year. San Francisco's for real, man. San Francisco was a little bit jacked up early in the year. Their quarterback got hurt. They had to bring in the superhero Jimmy G, who hasn't thrown a pick in 4 weeks. San Francisco's defense is pretty much ranked number 1 in almost every defensive category. Tua is going to be back in concussion protocol probably by halftime. And it's going to be a low-scoring game because Garoppolo, look, he's not Joe Montana or Steve Young, but he manages the football now, and he manages the game. This is going to be the over-under was 46.5. I'm definitely going under. I think this is maybe a 23-10 type game. I mean, the Niners threw up their defense threw up a 0 last week. I like the Niners. Niners are minus. What was that? This one was 4.5, I think. Let's see.
4. I'm seeing 4. -4, -105.
Yeah, -4. Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely money coming in on the Dolphins. The Niners opened up at -5. Um, I just think with this game, it's like you got the Mike McDaniel. It's his old team. He's going against them. I was the biggest Tua hater when they benched Fitzmagic for Tua. I was a huge Tua hater. I didn't believe in him. I'm starting to believe in him. I'm believing in the chemistry between him and McDaniel. Um, I'm not touching this one. I don't know, man. This is a tough one. And I'm not. The thing is, when you do what I do, you can't really be a fan of any team. So I'm not even. I used to be a huge Dolphin fan. I'm not really a fan anymore. I don't care what the Dolphins do at the end of the day. But this is going to be an interesting game. This is going to be a game where they can prove themselves or they can be exposed. And you're saying they're going to be exposed.
I think they are. I think they're going to get manhandled. Did you? Is it true that you grew that beard because you love Ryan Fitzpatrick so much? Is that where the beard came from?
He was a big, he's a Harvard grad. I figured there's a lot of brain power behind that beard. So yeah, he was a big inspiration for it.
How's that working out for you with the brain power?
Not too bad. I don't
Good.
see Harvard anywhere in my future. Fitzpatrick, I still love Fitzpatrick, but after finding out, I did my rant the other day about how everyone's gonna have to apologize. I think tanking for Tua, and here's it's weird because I'm like I said, I'm not really a Dolphin fan anymore, but I am rooting for him because they go like the whole media was crushing Stephen Ross for firing Brian Flores. They were trying to say it was like a racial thing, which it wasn't. Mike McDaniel is a very good coach. And tanking for Tua, they made this big deal. They suspended the owner, can't be around his team for a year because he tanked for Tua. And whether or not Tua is going to win MVP or go to the Super Bowl or any of that stuff, at this point in the year, tanking for Tua has paid off. No matter what they really do for the rest of the year, I think it has paid off. So I want to see it continue just because of the media hate that they got.
Well, these are not just locks. I got a bet ticket right here on my screen. So
All right.
I'm pretty
We'll
freaking
see what
confident in these right
happens.
here.
It's going to be an exciting week of football. NFL's got a lot of time left, but college is winding down. So let's enjoy it while it's here. Going to move over to college basketball soon. But for now, follow the line movement in college hoops and bet the Kraken more often than not.
Yeah, I'm gonna start bringing you some NBA type stuff too. But I'm really late steam with NBA. I've been thinking about it. It's like how do I give NBA picks? Because
I'm late steam with
I'm late.
everything, so that's why these shows are always tough for me.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do like a Twitter Spaces or just put out this late steam on Twitter on the free picks on my
Just
NBA
have to pick the
stuff or
biggest
some of
night
the
of the
stuff.
week and just hop on and do a show and give the picks right before they come on.
Ah, shit, man, you know how tired I am of doing shows, dude. It shows with you, it shows with Duncan and Nick the Flick. I'm co-executive assistant showrunner for Stephen Luker now. I
The
get
night
into the
before
nightcap.
Thanksgiving, I was tuned into that midweek. That was a great show. I was loving it. I was listening to it in the car with my old lady, and she was enjoying it too. The topics were all the hockey guy. Who's the hockey guy? He was good. I liked him.
Yeah, he was on again last night. He's my buddy. I went to high school with the dude. Biggest Ranger
Nice.
fan I ever met in my life.
Yeah, he knows hockey. I'd like to get on and talk some hockey with him one day for
He
sure.
would love. I'm sure he would love to. And Nick the Flick had all that screwball he was drinking last week, so
Yeah.
he was at like level 10 by the time we went
Is
off
that
the
the
air.
peanut butter whiskey?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
I've never
So,
had that.
so
I'm a whiskey
Nick
guy, but I've never had peanut butter whiskey.
neither have I. But he was so effed up last week. He didn't even make last night's show. We had the
Oh,
play
really?
action sit in for Nick last night. He's 102 fever or something. I said, all right. So
Everybody's sick right now. It is what it
they
is.
are. Oh, well, enjoy Colorado, my man.
Yes, sir.
And
And
we'll be back Thursday at 8 o'clock next week.
we'll be back Thursday, 8 o'clock. Good luck to the next show.
Yes.
Enjoy the old school stuff. Uh, I'm I'm probably gonna listen in the car because I gotta ride. I gotta make a couple stops on my way home, so I got like 45 minutes ahead of me. I'm gonna
Nice.
pack up and tune in.
So if you're watching this live, Retro TV with Play Action Reel and Steven Luker is coming up next. And if you're watching this on YouTube, when you get done with this video, just hop on over to the next video, and most
I
likely
really
it's going to
hope
be.
that crew starts doing some Super Bowl commercial stuff, maybe closer to Super Bowl, because I love Super Bowl commercials, and I love I don't know what's the word, nostalgizing,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the word is. I love thinking back and talking about old. I might
Reminiscing.
even hop on if you guys do a Super Bowl commercial episode.
I'm sure he'll have you on. Reminiscing. You can sit there and reminisce about.
Reminiscing. There's the
That's
word.
it. That's
It's
life.
late. I
Nobody
gotta go
talks
to
about the
bed.
fucking future. All they talk about is remember that time when you get drunk
No,
and
the
you're
future's bleak, man. The past is just so much better right now than the future. And with everything, that's another. I mean, that's I could go on forever, but just TV comedy, nothing is good right now.
the present is bad.
The present is
Hopefully the
bad.
future is good, but the present and
Yeah.
the president, but the present is bad.
Comedy is terrible right now. It is dead. Comedy is dead. It
I
really is.
haven't I haven't watched the sitcom in probably a
Forget about a
decade. Curb Your
sitcom. What about
Enthusiasm.
like a
That's the only thing.
good? What about a good funny movie? I mean,
No, I haven't seen one since The Hangover. I don't think.
I was gonna say like Hangover, like that was the last generation of good comedies, like Wedding Crashers, Old School. Um, actually, The Interview is one of the last. I mean,
You
after
can't
like
make movies
2000,
like that now. It's politically incorrect. You'll
that's
be
the problem.
canceled to make anything funny right now.
Yep.
Look at Howard Stern. A guy used to be fucking hysterical. Now he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, Howard Stern.
As
Howard
interesting
Stern
as
sucks.
Jokic. Yeah.
He was real freaky about the COVID too. That was really weird.
He's been like that the entire. I grew up. I mean, I listened to Stern when I was 12 years old. I used to hide in
Always
my
been a
bedroom. My
germaphobe.
parent, yeah, he was a germaphobe the entire time. Wouldn't shake anybody's hands. His biggest fear in life. He used to say, "My biggest fear is a pandemic," and then it hit. So, but
Well,
he
he's
came.
been.
He came out of his basement. I don't even listen to him, but I was flipping the TV looking for something the other night, and HBO had Howard Stern and Bruce Springsteen. He just interviewed Springsteen, and they were the only two in the studio. They were about a mile apart from one another, and Stern's sidekick Robin was on a Zoom. So he's so
Yeah, he's lost. He's lost his mojo.
yeah.
All right, AJ.
All right, man. Have a good
Seeing
vacation.
you, good show. Hopefully we finally turn it back around this week, and we just kill the board. See you guys next week.
This is the undefeated show. All right. Have a good night. That's not it. That was the buzzer. But we're out.